You didn't come this far. Through every loss, every closed door, every sleepless night, just to stay the same person. Stop right there. Don't scroll past this. Don't dismiss it as another video with big music and empty words. What I'm about to say to you is not rehearsed comfort. It's a challenge, a call, a moment that, if you let it in, could be the turning point you didn't even know you were looking for. Because here's the truth about you, the one you haven't allowed yourself to fully believe. You are not finished. I want you to think back, not to your greatest moments. Think back to a day, maybe recently, when you woke up and the first feeling you had wasn't hope. It was weight. The weight of what hasn't happened yet. The weight of time that feels like it's slipping. The weight of watching others move forward while you feel stuck in place, wondering if your moment has passed. Maybe you've been carrying a failure, a business that didn't make it, a relationship that broke you, a version of yourself you promised you'd become and haven't yet. Maybe you've been telling people you're fine while quietly wondering, is this it? Is this all I'm going to amount to? I need you to hear this clearly. That feeling, that weight, it is not evidence that you've lost. It is evidence that you still care. And as long as you care, as long as there is still something in you that refuses to fully surrender, there is something left to work with. Marcus Taylor, a man who has built his entire life's work on the power of language and the architecture of transformation, is on a mission to help people build a bridge from where they are to where their dreams live. Not a shortcut, a bridge built plank by plank, with intention, with discipline, with faith. That bridge starts right now, with this moment, with the decision you make before this video ends. There is a lie being whispered into the lives of millions of people every single day. And most people never challenge it. The lie sounds like this: it's too late. It whispers when you're 35 and feel like you should be further ahead. It whispers when you fail publicly and feel the eyes of others burning into your back. It whispers when you look at your bank account, at your circumstances, at your reflection, and the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels insurmountable. But I want you to look at the evidence of human history for just a moment. Colonel Sanders, founder of KFC, was 62 years old when he began building his empire. Vera Wang failed to make the U.S. Olympic ice skating team, then failed to become editor of Vogue, and became one of the most celebrated fashion designers in the world after 40. J.K. Rowling was a single mother on benefits. Her manuscript rejected 12 times before Harry Potter changed the world. These aren't exceptions. These are patterns. The pattern is this: the people who come back are always the ones who refuse to accept the narrative the world wrote for them. David Goggins, the man who broke barriers as a Navy SEAL, ultra-endurance athlete, and one of the most mentally formidable human beings alive, said something that should cut straight through any excuse you're holding on to. You are in danger of living a life so comfortable and soft that you will die without ever realizing your true potential. Read that again. Sit in it. Because comfort is not your friend right now. Comfort is the velvet cage that keeps extraordinary people living ordinary lives. Here's what nobody tells you about a comeback. It doesn't arrive with a drum roll. It doesn't come on a day when the stars align and conditions are perfect. It comes quietly. On the day you simply decide, truly decide, not just wishfully hope, that who you are becoming matters more than who you've been. Marcus Taylor once said something that has stayed with people across the world. It is the man that comes back round after round, that may have taken a beating physically, but he is not defeated mentally. That is the anatomy of a comeback. It is not about whether you are knocked down. Everyone gets knocked down. The only question worth asking is, what happens after the knock? And the truth is, the greatest version of you, the version you glimpse sometimes in your clearest, most honest moments, that version has already decided to come back. Your job is to trust that decision every single day. Here's what the comeback actually looks like in practice. It's not glamorous, not at first. It looks like waking up before you feel ready. It looks like doing the work when nobody's watching, when there is no applause, no engagement, no validation. It looks like silence and discipline and the kind of private suffering that public success is always built on. Marcus Taylor said it with perfect precision. Everybody wants public authority, but nobody wants private discipline. There it is. The gap between who you are and who you want to be lives entirely in that sentence. The results you want exist on the other side of the work you haven't yet been willing to do in private. The question isn't whether you're talented enough, smart enough, or ready enough. The question is, are you willing enough? I want to talk to you about what it means to come back unrecognizable. Because there are two kinds of comebacks. There's the kind where people look at you and say, "Oh, good to see you're back on your feet." And then there's the kind, the real kind, where people look at you and barely recognize the person standing in front of them. Not because you changed your clothes or your postcode, but because you changed the conversation you've been having with yourself. Because you stopped negotiating with your own excuses. Because you stopped asking the world for permission to become who you were always meant to be. The unrecognizable comeback is built in the dark. In the season when you disappear from the noise. When you stop performing for the crowd and start building for the future. When you work in silence, eat in silence, grieve in silence, and let the results do the talking. David Goggins understood this at his core. He believed that when the pain gets most intense, that is not the signal to stop. That is the signal that something significant is about to break open. He believed that most people are living at roughly 40% of their actual capacity. 40%. That means the version of you sitting here right now, the tired version, the doubting version, the version carrying yesterday's disappointments, is still operating with 60% left in reserve. 60% of your potential is still untouched. That is not a small number. That is a life. That is a legacy. That is everything you said you wanted, but told yourself you couldn't have. And here's the shift that changes everything. You don't need to access all 60% today. You just need to find 1% more. Then tomorrow, 1 more. That is how unrecognizable transformations are built. Not in a single dramatic moment, but in the quiet, relentless accumulation of 1% improvements, day after day, until one morning you look in the mirror and you barely remember the person who almost gave up. 2026 is not just a year. For you, for the person watching this right now, it is a declaration. No more drifting. No more "I'll start Monday." No more performing progress while hiding stagnation. No more shrinking yourself to fit spaces you've already outgrown. This is the year you rebuild with intention. This is the year you stop explaining yourself to people who were never invested in your growth. This is the year you become so focused, so disciplined, so locked in, that the people who counted you out genuinely cannot reconcile who you were with who you've become. Marcus Taylor's core message is rooted in one unshakable belief. The future belongs to those who are willing to build it in the present, brick by brick, with no guarantee of recognition and no promise of ease. Within every person is a higher version of themselves waiting to be accessed, not given, not stumbled into, accessed through work, through hunger, through the daily choice to rise. And this is where I need to speak directly to the version of you that's been waiting for a sign. This is it. Not because the universe arranged it, but because you chose this video and something in you is still fighting. Something in you has not surrendered to mediocrity. Something in you still burns, quietly maybe, dimly at times, but it burns. Don't let it go out. Vince Lombardi once said, "The real glory is being knocked to your knees and then coming back." That's real glory. That's the essence of it. That's your story. That's what's being written right now. Not in the highlight reel, not in the wins, but in this moment, in the decision you make right here about who you're going to be when you walk away from this screen. So let me ask you something that requires a real answer. When the year ends, when December of 2026 arrives, and you look back at the months between now and then, what will you see? Will you see more of the same? More waiting, more hesitating, more hoping that somehow circumstances will shift without you demanding more of yourself? Or will you see the year that everything changed? The year you chose discomfort over comfort. The year you outworked your doubts. The year you showed up for yourself with the same energy you've been given to everything else. If it is life-giving, if it is life-serving, if it is serving your purpose, do it again and again and again. Outwork everyone again and again. Shock the world. That's your assignment. Not to impress anyone. Not to prove a point to someone who doubted you, though you will inevitably do exactly that. Your assignment is to become so committed to your own elevation that nothing, no setback, no opinion, no fear can redirect you from your path. Because here is the most important truth in this entire message. Change starts the moment you decide you want better for yourself. Not when the circumstances improve. Not when someone believes in you. Not when the timing feels right. The moment, this moment, that you make a decision from the deepest, most honest part of who you are. That is when everything begins to shift. That is when the universe starts to rearrange itself around your commitment. That is when the comeback becomes inevitable. You didn't come this far to stay the same. You came here for a reason. And that reason is bigger than your fear. It's bigger than your past. It's bigger than the failure, the rejection, the quiet shame of dreams deferred. Your story is not over, not even close. This is Act 2. This is the chapter the world hasn't read yet. This is the version of you that's been forged in everything you've been through. Every hard year, every painful lesson, every night you prayed for a way through, the way through is forward. So go. Build in silence. Rise without announcement. Come back so transformed, so focused, so elevated, so completely unrecognizable that your comeback becomes someone else's proof that it's possible. 2026 belongs to you. Now act like it.